a vegan princess from the dromedary kingdom of Oman. We dromedary people are also known as one-humped camel people or Arabian camel people. Oman's wonderful people of the animal kingdom and sincere people wish for you to live and thrive forever under Allah's vast skies. Welcome to our show, The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and loving animal people. Today, we will visit a land of wonder, proclaimed since antiquity to be a center for true knowledge, morality, and compassion. It is the land of the heart, and in Islam, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, always resides there, along with numerous loving animal people companions of all shapes and sizes. And in the wise teachings of the Holy Quran, animal people are no different from humans. There is not an animal in the earth, nor a flying creature flying on two wings, but there are peoples like you. We have neglected nothing in the book of our decrees. Then unto their Lord they will be gathered. Holy Quran, Surah 6, verse 38. Let us also gather there for a while and meet some of its citizens. Did you hear about the spider person and the two dove persons that helped save the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? One of the most important events in the history of Islam was the Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, migration in 622 AD from Mecca to Medina in order to escape his persecutors who wished to kill him simply for preaching the truth. This important migration is known in Islam as Hijrah. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, have we learned something from the Hijrah? Do we have mercy in our hearts, or are we like the unjust pursuers? Even the seemingly smallest acts can have profound effects, as we shall see with the humble spider person and dove persons. During the Hijrah, the True One, peace be upon him, and his devout follower Abu Bakr as-Siddiq fled Mecca for Medina in the night to avoid the assassins who were hunting them. At one point, they took refuge in a cave, but soon afterwards, their pursuers found the cave. The assassins did not enter the cave to look for them. However, for in the short time since the beloved, peace be upon him, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq had entered the cave, a spider person had spun a silvery web across the opening of the cave, and a pair of dove persons had nested at the entrance. Together, they made it appear that no one had entered the cave for a long time, thus protecting the Prophet, peace be upon him, from the sharp iron swords of the assassins. In Islam, there are many discourses, such as the story of the spider person and the dove persons, that bring insights into the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. These are collectively known as hadith, and it has been called the backbone of the Islamic civilization. One of the most prolific narrators of hadith was Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr al-Dawsi al-Sakhani, better known as Abu Huraira, meaning father of the kitten. He has been credited with narrating 5,374 hadith and was one of the constant companions of the True One, peace be upon him. The story of how he gained this nickname is as follows. I was called Abu Huraira, and one day I found a stray kitten which I placed in my sleeve. When I returned to my people, they heard the kitten purr in my sleeve, and they asked, "What is that, O Abd Shams?" I replied, "A kitten I found." "So you are Abu Huraira, father of the kitten," they responded, and the name stuck thereafter. The story of Abu Huraira, the father of the kitten, and his love for furry feline people is not an isolated one amongst early Muslims. The beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, was credited with taking care of a cat person companion himself. According to Hadith, the cat person companion of the beloved, peace be upon him, was called Mu'aza, and he was known to rest on the lap of the Prophet, peace be upon him, when he gave lectures. At one time, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was about to go to prayers, but when he went to put on his robe, he found Mu'aza sleeping on its sleeve. Rather than disturb the cat person companion, the Prophet, peace be upon him, cut off the sleeve with a pair of scissors instead. He then stroked the cat person friend 3 times, conveying blessings to him. So great was his love and affection for Mu'aza that the Prophet, peace be upon him, would drink from the same water as him, and even perform ablutions with it before prayer. On another occasion, it has been recalled a cat person saved the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, from a venomous snake person.
Vegan, 'cause animal people are such a joy.
Let us pause for a moment to recall the scent of the jasmine flower on a cool summer's evening. We will be right back after this constructive message. Please stay with us here on Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to our program, The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Loving Animal People on Supreme Master Television. Not only is his love for animal people clear in the Prophet Muhammad's peace be upon him actions, but the Hadith also warns of the punishments that await those who are cruel to people from the animal kingdom. Abu Huraira, the father of the kitten, recalled in a hadith that the Prophet, peace be upon him, spoke of a woman who, because of her cruel actions, had to go to hell for tormenting a cat person, having confined the poor cat person so that she could not eat or drink until she passed away due to starvation. Thus it was written, "A good deed done to an animal is as meritorious as a good deed done to a human being, while an act of cruelty to an animal is as bad as an act of cruelty to a human being." The same lesson is again highlighted in another story called The Crying Camel Person, in which the Prophet, peace be upon him, while observing how the people of Medina were keeping cool during a hot summer day by staying in the shade and availing themselves of cool drinks, heard a strange wailing noise. He looked around and discovered that it was from a camel person who was tied to a wooden post and loaded with huge sacks. The poor camel person was alone, hot and thirsty, under the blazing sun, and unable to move into the shade. The Prophet, peace be upon him, brought water, and tied the camel person and removed the sacks. He then called out loudly to the people of the neighborhood, asking who the camel person's caretaker was. Not long after, a man appeared. Allah's messenger, peace be upon him, chastised the man for his lack of kindness and for not taking care of his loyal friend and thinking only of himself. While the man's friend, who selflessly carried him and his possessions on their journeys through the desert, was suffering needlessly in the heat, this human companion was away cooling himself off without sparing a thought for his camel person companion. The man felt ashamed, and from that day on, he thoughtfully cared for all his animal people companions and made sure that they always had everything they needed to be comfortable. The camel person never cried again. Cat people were not the only animal people companions that accompanied the Prophet, peace be upon him. Dog people were known to be present at the mosque of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in Medina, playing and enjoying themselves during his lifetime, and they remained there for centuries afterwards. There are numerous well-established accounts of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, engaging in prayer while dog people were present, and many of his relatives and followers raised and took care of dog kids. Abu Huraira, the father of the kitten, may Allah be his guide, recalled in Hadith the early stories of kindness to dog people as spoken by the Prophet, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. While a man was walking along a road, he became very thirsty. He found a well and went down it to drink. When he came out, he saw a dog person panting and eating moist earth out of thirst. The man said, "This dog person is just as thirsty as I was." So he went down into the well, filled his shoe with water, carried it out in his mouth, and gave it to the dog person. As a result of this good deed, Allah forgave the man of any past misdeeds. In another instance, the Prophet, peace be upon him, spoke of a dog person who was desperately moving around a well, about to die of thirst. When a prostitute saw the dog person, she removed her shoe, filled it with water, and gave it to the dog person to drink. Because of her act of kindness to the dog person, Allah forgave her misdeeds, and she went to heaven. From these stories, we can see that in the land of the heart, even a seemingly small action like that of the spider person weaving his web of protection and the dove persons nesting at the entrance to help the Prophet, peace be upon him, hide, or quenching the thirst of a dog person, can have profound ramifications. So it's important to make the most of every opportunity, however small, to show kindness towards Allah's creations. May such acts of kindness and compassion nourish you in body, mind, and soul.
Vegan, live and die a true human.
Caring viewers, thank you for joining us for our program today.